Welcome, everybody, to IGN's daily live news show, News, Games, and More. I'm your host, Destin Legary. It is wonderful to be here today. Joining me are my excellent co-hosts, John Ryan.
Hi there.
Hi, JR. How's it going?
Doing good, buddy.
Awesome.
Good to be back.
It is. And Terry Schwartz is with me today.
Oh my gosh. Hello, Destin. Hi, JR.
Terry.
Am I next to you?
Yeah, it's good to hang out and do like a live production together.
Doing a lot of back and forth.
I know. And what a joyous week, too, for it.
Absolutely. It's console launch week, and everybody is happy to have their new consoles. Real quick at the top of the show, I have to actually address something kind of serious, very serious, actually. There's been a report that there was a situation in Montreal. The police have identified that there are no threats at Ubisoft Montreal, but this was a bit of a scary situation this morning. The Montreal police are now evacuating the building after identifying no threats. So very, very happy to report that. And I'm glad everybody at Ubisoft Montreal is okay. That was a big story for us today. And I just want everybody to know that things are okay. Everybody's all right. Happy to report that. Moving on, we're actually going to talk about Black Panther 2. They're actually not going to be introducing a digital double of Chadwick Boseman. Did I say that properly?
You did. And let me just say, I feel like it was shooting down any considerations that it may happen, less so like people were legitimately considering it.
I feel like this was definitely like one of those situations where this was kind of Marvel execs feeling like they needed to get out ahead of it. You know, like it's trust. We're not gonna do it. Don't worry. Like we promise from here on out, it's not happening. Like you're not gonna have to deal with any weird CG doppelgangers, and it's not gonna be. And we're not gonna even tread on that potentially super disrespectful like path. Like we're just not doing it.
Yeah, we jumped a little ahead for your news though, Destin. What was the news today?
Yeah, I accidentally jumped to story 3. Well, let's just finish out story 3 and then we'll come back to the next one. But so
it's 2020. The numbers don't matter anymore.
Yeah. The idea of including a digital recording was dismissed by executive producer Victoria Alonso. And the quote was, "No, there's only one Chadwick and he's not with us. Our king, unfortunately, has died in real life, not just in fiction. And we are taking a little time to see how we return to history and what we do to honor this chapter of what has happened to us that was so unexpected, so painful, so terrible," really, Alonso said. And I'm really glad they're taking this approach. It was a shock to all of us when Chadwick Boseman, passed suddenly, and to know what was going on and just how much of a positive impact he had on the community. I think it's just awesome, and it's something to aspire to for all of us in life. I think to communicate with people and just contribute to society the way that he did. He's definitely a role model that I will look up to. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I mean, he's a hero in real life and, in fiction, in Marvel. And, this tragically isn't the first time Disney has had to face a horrible situation like this where one of their flagship actors passed away before their story, so to speak, in one of their franchises. Had concluded. I'm talking about Carrie Fisher in the Star Wars trilogy sequel. And, when I hear the question or the idea of a digital double or something like that come up, I feel like it's because that is what they ended up pursuing to include General Leia in the Rise of Skywalker. They had some residual or leftover footage that they had her daughter, actually, Billie Lourd, was the body double to include Leia in that story. I will say as a fan, that did not land with me. It didn't resonate. It was very weird to see her there. And so I appreciate that they are outright dismissing that even as an option to potentially continue having Chadwick's T'Challa in Black Panther 2. That being said, it's such an important character. To hear Chadwick's family talk about what playing Black Panther meant to him, it really was a great honor of his life. And so I appreciate that Disney is taking the time to do right by him. Obviously, we all probably have a lot of ideas of ways that it can continue on. But I think whatever, I know, but whatever it is, it needs to do honor to him,
exactly.
And what he represents.
And that's the thing, right? Where it's if not even looking at it from a cultural perspective, because his impact it's uncountable. You can't really quantify just the kind of difference he made with that character. both on screen and off screen, doing publicity for it, and like being the genuinely rad dude that he was. But then like on a technical level, you look at it and like I feel like Carrie Fisher is a great example because they really kind of learned that it just can't work, because you saw them kind of try it both ways, both with the Rise of Skywalker and with her all digital appearance in Rogue One.
And Tarkin too in Rogue One.
Well, so Peter Cushing in Rogue One, there were a couple of moments where it didn't work great, but like a lot of him was filmed like half in shadow or as reflections,
right.
like with Carrie Fisher in Rogue One, when Leia shows up at the very end, spoiler, sorry, it's just like full face shot, like bright lighting, and it just doesn't work. And so I think that they know that to do it, they couldn't do it and not do it badly, and that like it would be disrespectful and bad enough if they did it, and even if they managed to do it well, but to do it and only be able to do it poorly, like absolutely not. You can't get away with that.
Yeah, we actually had a commenter who said, Padawan Obi on IGN said, honestly, if they have an entire movie that acknowledges T'Challa's death and follows the struggles of the main core of badasses from the first Black Panther movie, there are a lot of opportunities that can be used without recasting. I think that would be a really, really good angle. This is a thing that impacted a lot of people, and seeing like Wakanda Forever and T'Challa Forever and all those sort of things sort of trend on social media and just in the world, it's really uplifting, and like it's paying respect to somebody who had such a great contribution to the world at large.
Yeah, they definitely have a lot to consider. It's like, do you recast? Do you have Shuri pick up the mantle of Black Panther, which would be a badass option? Do you have him die in your canon? Like there's just like so much to consider. I don't know that, we don't have the answers. But I trust Marvel, trust Ryan Coogler, who makes
that's the real I trust Ryan Coogler.
Like, who has a better track record of making incredible movies than Ryan Coogler? So I place my trust in them, and I would rather they wait that many more years to make a Black Panther 2 to do it right than try to rush something that feels tasteless and tactless.
Mm-hmm. Here's what the source says on it. Alonso added that no decision has been made yet about what Marvel will do with the Black Panther franchise now. Quote, I know that sometimes 2 months go by or 3 months go by in production, and one says already it was a long time, but it is not a long time. We have to think carefully about what we are going to do and how, and think about how we are going to honor the franchise. I'm glad they're taking the necessary delays and precautions to handle this properly, and I look forward to the next movie.
Yeah. Back to story 2.
Yeah, back to story 2. PS5 owners, you might be suffering from a download queue bug. The bug, which has been suffered by at least 3 members of IGN staff, among many reports popping up, appear to occur when a product is first set up to download. The bug can then seemingly take 2 forms, either listing the game/app as queued for download or as having suffered a download error. Both will prompt you to check the downloads menu, which then shows nothing. Did either of you encounter this?
Well, my PS5 is still in a pile in the corner because I haven't had time to set it up yet. So sort of, but not in the way that you're asking about.
Well, first of all, I will just say that when you started describing like several people of staff have experienced this, and then we cut to B-roll, I was like, please tell me they have like B-roll of like
Brandon
John Davison being like, but this works too. A good number 2. No, so I've downloaded 3 games thus far on my PS5. I have Bugsnax, Miles Morales, and Demon Souls, and I have not had this issue, though I didn't have a very long queue at any point in time. So I don't know whether or not I will yet suffer from it. And I have seen stories of like a number of different like bugs going around. I know one of our colleagues, Corrado, had his PS5 brick on him twice, or not brick, but like crash twice on him while playing Miles Morales yesterday. So
those are the more concerning ones on my end. But like, I feel like I haven't seen those nearly as widespread as the download issues. Like, I know a couple of people have been like, "Hey, the ice level, I think it is on Astros, is kind of wonky." Like, but for the download thing, I'm curious if it really is, if it's just a bandwidth error, because so many people are getting their PS5s and like, not just downloading, Spider-Man and Demon Souls, but also all of their game libraries that will now work on the PlayStation 5.
Well, let me elaborate, JR, because there are a few things. So the upshot is that if your game is stuck in limbo, it won't download, and it can't be canceled. Oh, wait. The upshot is that your game is stuck in limbo, it won't download, and it can't be canceled or re-downloaded. In all cases, among IGN staff, the PS5 library will show you that you own the game app, but checking the PS5 store will say that you don't, asking you to purchase it. So Activision is recommending a factory reset to those who get in touch about the issue regarding Call of Duty specifically, and that did solve the problem for an IGN staff member. Other users have reported that a factory reset solved the problem too. Many will be loath to wipe their console and download their games again, but no other workaround has yet been found at the time of this writing. Pro tip, we actually have an excellent IGN wiki about transferring your games from the PS4 to the PS5. That might help offset some of the time. Make sure that you are actually playing the PS5 version of the game, though. So after you do your factory reset, you can get at least a few titles that are like Red Dead would be able to just go over to the PS5 probably right away. And then just check and make sure you're playing like Call of Duty specifically, the PS5 version of that game. Check out IGN.com/wikis for more info there. Sony hasn't commented yet.
Wait, to clarify though, for those of us watching at home, and for me over here watching from here, who hasn't set up my PS5 yet.
Are you not at home?
I mean, I am, but I'm just not able to see myself. Can you download the PS4 version on a PS5 for a lot of games?
Yes.
That's super weird.
It is super weird. And I noticed it when I was working on Spider-Man Miles Morales. I'm like, there's a PS4 version here and a PS5 version. And obviously the PS4 version wouldn't have 60 frames. It wouldn't have the ray tracing and everything. So make sure you're downloading and launching the appropriate game file.
That's so wild. Like, aside from like an HD texture pack, I can't possibly, like, because if you're only going to play at 1080p or 1440p, like, you might not want to download 4K textures. Like, that totally makes sense. But like, I can't for the life of me think why they would have
you want your brain to be exploded. The PS5 version is often smaller, like in Spider-Man Miles Morales' case, than the PS4 version.
I don't believe you.
It's because they can do compression better on the back end.
Well,
with
JR, maybe
the
you
updated hardware.
Maybe you should finally set up your PS5 and then you can find out for yourself.
Maybe I should, Terry.
I want to do a double plug for our guides team and wikis team, though, because they have been working so tirelessly to make sure that IGN's robust wikis are ready with the answers to all the questions that you possibly may have in terms of setting up your consoles, playing the games as well. But I'll take it one step farther. We're staying on top of catching these kind of user issues that you only really realize once the entire world is player testing these games. So we're working in real time to make sure that we get those comments, we get those answers for how to resolve these issues. If you are having overall issues, make sure you tag us on Twitter and social media and raise those tips to us, and we can look into them. But hopefully those wikis are really helpful for all of you who are able to play these next-gen consoles.
Absolutely. And somebody like our commenter, God Geek of War, is really scared hearing about these bugs. JR, I interrupted you. What were you going to say?
No, I was going to say also, like Terry said, the wiki team has been working super hard. So just head on over to Twitter at IGN Wikis and just say great job. And also check out all their cool content, but mostly
we love them. We love them.
I'm sorry. Now, uninterrupting you, Destin.
No, it's okay. Let's just see what the commenters are saying. Somebody did point out in chat, thank you very much. I missed your name, but Sony is now aware of this issue. Thank you, Mike, over on Twitch. And apparently they are looking into it. So the factory reset thing works. And obviously keep an eye out for Sony. Like if you're in the UK and you don't have your console yet, hopefully this is all resolved and everything's going to go swimmingly once you get your product. The Shadowjacker commented, though, I had a similar issue installing the physical edition of AC Valhalla on the Series X. It would keep saying download stopped and then wouldn't progress any further. I had to cancel the install, turn off the internet connection to my Xbox, remove the disc, restart the console, and then force the system to install the game from the disc while still offline. Apparently, it's an issue with the game trying to install at the same time as it's trying to update/upgrade. That makes sense. Like if you're trying to like update well, it's still mid progress. Maybe it's like a file structure thing where they need the order of operations reorganized within
it's like
these modern consoles.
It's a load order for modding on PC.
Right?
Well, I'm going to tell you all something, this privacy of the thousands of people who are watching and my two hosts.
I'm going to tell you a huge secret. Me and these 30,000 people.
Maybe this is something that like everyone else has been using and I just haven't been. But when I was setting up my PS5 and it prompted me to like download the PS5 or the PlayStation app in order to help facilitate this process and downloads and all that, I was like, okay, yeah, sure. Like I have to go and work as well. And I found it super helpful and handy, especially in terms of like tracking downloads and catching when there are issues. So I have really enjoyed using that and being able to use that to keep the kind of setup process going, even when I am stuck away from my PS5.
I'm gonna hang on to that tip for later when I get to open into that cartoonishly large box over there. It's huge. It's super weird.
It's huge.
All right, I got a question for you about Xbox, JR.
Uh-oh.
Do you own Game Pass? Yes or no?
Yes.
You are amongst the 70% of Xbox Series X and S owners who own Game Pass. 70%. That is absolutely massive. I also have Game Pass. Terry, do you have Game Pass?
I don't.
Terry,
it's a tremendous
I'm one of the 30% of people who don't have Game Pass.
That's sort of the math adds out based on the group here. That would be 33% of this group. So it's pretty close. So Xbox announced today that the pardon?
I'm saying cut off 3% of her video feed.
Yeah.
How do I get like?
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. You get my shoulder.
Sink down in your hair a little bit.
So Xbox announced today that the joint launch of the Series X and the Series S is the most successful debut in the company's history, confirming that 70% of those new consoles are attached to either new or existing Game Pass members. It also said that more new consoles were sold during this launch than any prior generation launch, with the Xbox Series S adding to the highest percentage of new players for any Xbox console at launch. Those statistics are just not to be shrugged off. That means this console launch did better than the original Xbox, the Xbox 360, the Xbox One X, any of the consoles. Just congrats to Microsoft and Xbox on a successful console launch. So I know a lot of the commenters are like, oh, Xbox, like it's not winning in the race or whatever, but I'm like, they're doing just fine. And I always say this because like we're so like in the weeds with console stuff. You got to remember there's still a massive audience on Xbox, even if they're not like selling the most or whatever you want to call it.
That's the thing too. Like Xbox has spent a lot of time over the last, especially the last like 2 to 3 years, but really through the back half of the Xbox One console generation, really making the Xbox platform an ecosystem for you to buy and play, not just the games that they're putting out for Xbox One, because there's not that many, but also all the other ones that you loved on the Xbox 360, and even the fact that you can play original Xbox games, like what is Sonic Adventure Racing 2 is on there, I think.
Yeah,
and
it goes all the way back.
It's amazing. It's genuinely astounding to me. And like to look at these numbers, I am curious to see in a month or two, like once because I assume the Xbox Series S and the Series X must have come with like a free trial deal, or like there might have been like a Game Pass bundle.
They do.
I am curious to see what those numbers look like after that trial period expires.
Got my Series S right there.
Nice your little VHS.
Yeah. It's my favorite. It's my favorite one now. It's actually like so nice compared to the other two, which are quite big. And my PS5 is right here out of camera.
God, the PS5 is the ugliest, ugliest damn chump, I will say.
Yeah, I've yet to just seeing all the photos that everyone's been like sharing around the office, or like seeing people on Twitter posting about it, like in their entertainment stand, because you can't say it's in your entertainment stand. Your entertainment stand is now designed around the PS5.
Yeah.
This is like every console, by the way, because I do those analysis pieces and I constantly have to switch consoles. So there
are for anybody watching at home, if you
consoles here, and then the OG down there,
the one from all of our fancy console B-roll.
And I did all that too. That was really fun.
I will say two and a half things on the Xbox Series X and S, the launch front. First of all, Xbox did an incredible job marketing this console. I think they had a fantastic marketing campaign, and my extra half on top is like the Xbox Twitter presence or social media presence across the board, like especially over the course of the past year, has just been chef's kiss. Like it's so good. They're so funny. I think they're really personalizing the brand so much through the work that's done there. So I give like a huge hat tip to that as maybe being a reason why this jump started. It also helps that everyone's freaking bored and stuck at home and like, wants to do something else. But I think it's so interesting that the S has performed so well, because I think we come from a background, right, especially at IGN, probably if you're watching IGN, where you play a lot of games, and within that, like the Xbox, the hardware has always been touted as like, this is as good as it gets until you get to PC. Like this is, they have the edge on Sony there. And so for me, when I think of Xbox, I think hardware first, like incredible hardware. That's the draw there. So I think we questioned, right? Like you have this cheaper model, the hardware isn't up, to snuff to the Xbox Series S. But at the same time, having that cheaper model is like the Wii approach, right? Where the Wii exploded because you had this consumable way for you to play a massive array of games. And like I was a little bit surprised at how well the S performed, but it makes sense if you think of it from that perspective, that this is really the accessible way to play so many games that you wouldn't be able to get on your Nintendo console that maybe previously kind of fit that more casual realm of play style, especially when you have Game Pass on top, and especially when you have the back catalog that you're able to access.
It's absolutely a ridiculously phenomenal price point. It can't be beat.
I think the thing to factor in too is like the fact that it can do, like it still has the ray tracing, it still has all of the sort of visual quality, the graphical quality of the game experience on the Series X. The only difference is that it's not going to run in 4K. I think that's huge. Like that was a super, super smart choice on Microsoft's part, because, I work at IGN. Like I try and keep myself up with the most cutting edge tech, but like that's a 1080p TV behind me, and it's probably going to stay that way for at least another year or two. And I think a lot of households and a lot of people who are in the market for games, like they probably aren't looking necessarily for a console that can run 8K. Like it's super cool that the X has that capability, but it also, no one's going to need that for a while,
Right.
Especially in the places where things are more expensive. Like we know that I think in South America, the consoles are priced higher than expected. So the Series S just gives you a fantastic entry point to just be playing with quicker zoom and all the bells and whistles, basically. Liz Harmon said that 3,594 games spanning 4 generations of Xbox were played during the series launch, which is a record for the company. We have a buyer's guide out there also.
Like that's the wild thing to me, where it's like, people are like, oh, the PS4 has all, or the PS5 has all the launch games. It's like, okay, cool. Xbox has 4,000 of them. Like, and that's just the ones people played.
I will say
Call of Duty.
I will say I fall into the games camp. Like I did not buy a Series X. I kind of only felt like I had the budget to buy one or the other at launch. I didn't have to have both, which I know a lot of our staff, like we worked on ways to get everyone both because we cover a lot of games. But for me, it wasn't a need. So it was like, okay, what will I want to play? And the hardware is great, but I'm not upgrading my TV to take full advantage of like I have a 4K TV. It's fine. It's smart TV. I love it. It's great.
4K TV.
I know. It's a birthday present. It was so great. I feel very, very lucky for that.
Okay, that
for good
sounded
family.
a lot meaner than it was intended to be.
Yeah. But anyway, so the PS5, like I want to play Miles Morales. I want to play Miles Morales in the best quality that it can play. I think I'm going to wait for a launch game, or not a launch game, obviously, but like for a Xbox exclusive title that will be the thing that makes me buy an Xbox Series X, in the same way that I waited until Final Fantasy 13 was announced for Xbox 360 before I finally bought an Xbox 360. That was that, as you guys know, was very late into the life cycle.
It was. Also, Final Fantasy 13.
I think I'm one of 16 people who have actually completed Final Fantasy 13, and it was persistence alone.
Not enjoyment.
Yeah.
On our comment section, we had a few comments. I Need Games says people should play Bloodstained on Game Pass because it's one of my favorite games ever. And Detroit King 2 said, this is why Microsoft isn't concerned over who sells more consoles, since there's no profit on console sales, at least right now. The real money is in services. Kudos to Microsoft to building a worthy service with Game Pass. Game Pass, hands down, is unarguably one of the best services for gamers out there. It's cheap. It's like you can just play all these games and you don't have to buy them. And it's really, really smart. Do you guys, JR, have you taken advantage of it?
I mean, not on the X, because again, I haven't unpacked it yet.
No, even on the Xbox One.
Oh yeah, of course. Like I missed State of Decay 2, for example, which was, I really liked the first one. I thought it was a super interesting game. I just didn't have the chance to play State of Decay 2 when it came out. But the nice thing about Game Pass is there it is. And it's like, I jumped in on that like right after the Juggernaut edition launch. So it's like the best version of every possible game. And like looking ahead too, is like, it's not just a great like subscription item for how many older games are on there. Cause like the fact of the matter is like the first thing I play on my Series X is probably going to be Dead Space, because EA is on there now. And moving forward, all like I know that the gag now is that there aren't Xbox exclusives, but I'm really looking forward to being a Game Pass holder on, in February of 2022 or whenever. Because like you look at Obsidian and now Bethesda, like all of those games that you as a Game Pass subscriber, I think it's Game Pass Ultimate, get day one access to automatically. Like, so
that's just standard Game Pass. Game Pass Ultimate gets you access on PC and any Xbox.
There it is.
Yeah.
So now I can transfer my Wasteland 3 saves back and forth.
Yeah. Moving on. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about
Wasteland 3.
Let's talk about some movie news. Again, Chris Pratt has joined the cast of Thor: Love and Thunder.
Oh my
Chris
God,
Pratt...
look at this great B-roll we have. More of this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Look at that face.
Good lighting.
You're just saying it's great B-roll because it is Chris Pratt?
Yes.
Did we shoot this?
I don't disagree. Like,
I don't think so. But I'm glad we moved on to this. This is great. Anyway, sorry.
Terry, you're a movies aficionado. Why don't you run us through it?
Sure. Yeah. So very exciting news to all the Guardians of the Galaxy and Marvel fans out there. We mostly officially have learned that Chris Pratt will be reprising his role as Peter Quill, aka Star-Lord, in Marvel's Thor: Love and Thunder. So this news came via The Hollywood Reporter. It is not officially confirmed by Disney, but they have a really good track record for getting this stuff right. They implied that other members of the Guardians could appear in Thor: Love and Thunder as well. And then obviously Thor: Love and Thunder, as the name suggests, will be starring the Thor franchise characters, including Chris Hemsworth. Natalie Portman is coming back for this one, and she will wield the hammer in this. Very exciting. We will get Tessa Thompson back, and then Christian Bale is also joining the movie, and then Taika Waititi is.
I missed that one.
Yeah, Taika Waititi. Yeah. Oh, and Taika Waititi.
Christian Bale was the one that I
I was like,
I figured Taika was back. He's like, come on now.
Yeah.
Do we know what Christian Bale is up to in this one?
Probably, but I don't remember off the top of my head, so I am failing you. But maybe our producer John will be able to find that.
No, it's okay. It's all right. Okay. I assume he's playing some nebulous villain.
We do not know who he is playing in it, but for the Guardians crossover stuff, are you guys surprised by this,
no.
Or is this what you were hoping for all along?
This sounds awesome. The way the story left off, it seems obvious that they're going to be in there, right?
This is exactly what I wanted. Like, because I really enjoy the first two. I really enjoy the first two Guardians movies. I don't know if I need a third one. Like, I know there's a third one happening, obviously, but like,
they're designed as a trilogy.
I know, I get it, but like, I also like, I just, 1 and 2 are fun. I don't personally necessarily need a third one. So like, I'm totally fine. Like if we start taking these Marvel franchises or these series within the MCU franchises, and kind of mixing them together. So it's like, basically do what Captain America Civil War did, where it's like, this is technically Iron Man 2.5 or Iron Man 3.5 and like Avengers 2.5 or whatever.
Yeah. Avengers 2.5. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like, you sort of take these, it's just like, there's no Thor movies anymore. There's no Hulk movies anymore. There's no Iron Man movies anymore. They're all just Marvel movies, and like whoever happens to have the most screen time, I guess that's the name we're going to put on the bill.
Yeah, well, I think the thing that that potentially we won't have anymore are Avengers movies. That's definitely the direction, like the direction that they're taking Phase 4 and beyond. So far as we have heard, is more the Captain America Civil War route. I'm trying to think of another example. Well, like Thor pops up in Doctor Strange. Obviously, we've had crossovers in the Spider-Man movies as well. So the future of Marvel, I'm sure eventually they will get to another big team-up movie. But really the idea is that instead of having an Iron Man movie like Iron Man 3, where it's just Iron Man's story, is getting this remix of a bunch of different characters you've mixed and matched. We know for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness that Scarlet Witch is going to play a part of that. We're getting this cross-pollination between the Disney Plus Marvel shows and the movies that we're going to see a lot more of. So I'm very excited about this. The thing I'm not going to lie, I've completely lost the thread on is I think originally Guardians 3 was supposed to come out before Thor 3, but because of all the drama with James Gunn getting fired and then going to make the Suicide Squad at DC, but then coming back. Now Guardians 3 is later in the timeline. So I think originally we were thinking as fans that Thor would pop up in Guardians 3. I'm very glad that instead the Guardians will pop up in Thor Love and Thunder. But I will say, I do not want anything to detract from Jane Foster coming back and being the mighty Thor and wielding Mjolnir. Like that to me, when they
Jane Foster? Oh, the character. Yeah.
The character. Yes. I was like, yes. Yeah. Don't second guess me, Dustin. So like I have all the faith in the world in Taika Waititi, brilliant, crazy mastermind that he is, to be able to balance all these many things in Thor. But anyway,
you said Jane Foster, and I thought Jodie Foster, and I was like, "What? How does she?" I got all
That's
confused
down the road.
And I'm like, "Oh, you mean the character?"
I mean, look.
Anyway, here's what our community is saying.
Jodie Foster in a Thor movie. I'm here for that.
Here's what our community is saying. Vengeance Knight Batman says making this part Thor, part Guardians of the Galaxy movie would be okay in my book, and something ESP, I'm not even going to try it. His character is irredeemable at this point, referring to Star-Lord, I'm assuming. He is personally responsible for the billions of deaths that surely followed in the wake of half of all life disappearing, children starving without their parents, planes falling out of the sky, etc. Well, we all love a good redemption arc, don't we?
Well, I guess here's my question, actually. If they are bringing them into the mix here, there's a lot of outstanding emotional baggage and storyline for what's going to happen next with Star-Lord, Gamora, and Nebula, especially after the events of Avengers Endgame. And spoilers, hopefully you've seen Avengers Endgame at this point, people. What are you doing here if not? But like the Gamora that we ended up with in that movie is not the same Gamora as the previous Guardians movies. Yeah. So I assumed that would be dealt with in bulk in Guardians Volume 3. I guess the only way they get around it is if like Gamora literally isn't there. She's like off doing whatever and soul searching around the galaxy. And then they only find her and regroup again.
Terry, you know what? Sorry. Terry, you know what? Growing up helped me do a lot of soul searching. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reunion release date and trailer have actually been revealed, coincidentally, to coincide with my great segue. To celebrate the show's 30th anniversary, the reunion brings together star Will Smith alongside Talia Ali, Ashley Banks, Karen Parsons, Hilary Banks, Joseph Marcel, Jeffrey Butler, Daphne Maxwell, Reed, Vivian Banks, Alfonso, this one's tough, Roberto Carlton Banks, and DJ Jazzy Jeff Jazz. It also features the first meeting between Smith and Janet Hubert, the original Aunt Vivian, for 27 years.
I love the Fresh Prince. I love it so much.
Yeah, it took me a while. I missed it as like a kid when it was airing on TV, but then I kind of
I love the show.
Yeah. I remember watching. I was more of a Family Matters.
Okay. All right.
But like I missed that this trailer came out today. It's over there, I guess. I missed that this trailer came out today, and so like watching this and like seeing this reunion B-roll is like genuinely like it's hitting notes and feelings.
Yeah.
You know?
I my big question is whether they must have rebuilt the set for them for the purposes of this. I don't know if they would have kept that in storage for a show as iconic as this, but Destin, I'm with you. I watched this like every night on the WB. I watched I loved it so much. I loved Will Smith from it. I loved the Banks family. It's really special
that clip. That's like all over everywhere, and it's hard to just watch it and not like have it hit you in some way. It's just the show is really excellent, and I'm really glad that they're doing this reunion.
And also, it's something that's like so 90s, right? Like, look at the fashion, look at the art, look at the style. Like, it's so of its time that because it has been re-released in streaming, like it is reaching a new audience and resonating in a new way, like beyond the gifs that we see floating around. So I think it'll just be like really special to be able to go and reunite and see these people come together all these years later. And frankly, like kudos to HBO Max that is, as any of these new streaming services trying to be the next Netflix and compete with the next Netflix, it's like, what is your appointment programming that you can debut? And obviously they've been working on the Friends reunion for a while, but I think like this Fresh Prince reunion is going to be a big deal, it's something that Netflix doesn't have the back catalog that they can lean on to be able to command beyond, they did like Gilmore Girls continuation and Arrested Development continuation, but like to have something so synonymous with your brand, I know I didn't really care for either of them, but have something so synonymous with your brand that you can have be like this appointment viewing, I think is really smart.
Yeah, so the unscripted special will look back at the show, seemingly showing behind-the-scenes footage and examine its cultural impact since it aired. On Instagram, Smith said that these are the people who made me the man I am today, and I couldn't let this day go by without marking the occasion. This reunion is not to be confused with the reboot, by the way. This is like the original cast talking. The reboot will adapt the sitcom into a drama. Will Smith also has some excellent motivational speeches online. If you're into that sort of thing on YouTube, he's cool. I like Will Smith.
Yeah, that's my favorite evolution of Will Smith is Will Smith YouTuber, where it's like, did you have to become a YouTube influencer too on top of everything else? But sure, okay, yeah, you're Will Smith.
He can do whatever he wants.
He
is literally unstoppable.
That Mr. Nice Guy says, first things first, rest in peace, Uncle Phil, for real.
That's true.
And agreed. And KLG Chaos wrote, I just don't see how it can work as a drama as opposed to a comedy without the dynamic of Uncle Phil and Will. They were the heart of the show, along with Will's relationship with Carlton, but we'll see. He's talking about the reboot, I assume. So
I know. I read that the first time, and I was like, the drama of the reunion? Is this? Like
there are some horror stories from. It's going to be like on Drag Race when they all get there and they just have cocktails. Yeah. It's like, oh no, you shouldn't have come here.
Yeah.
Time will tell.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like, I didn't know that the reboot, I'd heard it was happening. I was unaware that it was going to be more in the vein of drama. I mean, I think that it definitely makes sense in this day and age for it to focus on more serious topics. And, I think that the idea of it being a drama instead of a comedy, like that kind of disconnect that we all have, I think really just kind of comes down to us to being more willing to look at kind of familiar series and franchises through a new lens. Cause I know that that's hard. But I think given everything that we've seen, not just in the last 6 to 8 months, which have felt like 10 years on their own, but like in the decades since Fresh Prince went off the air, like you couldn't do that show and not have it have like focus more on the serious social commentary as opposed to like goofy sitcom episodes. And I know that's not to say that that's all Fresh Prince did, because obviously it had very important episodes too.
Well, there's an opportunity there, right, to use that platform, use that name for good. And I would imagine, I think it's easy to like scoff at how is this going to work. You're changing something I love, but like, especially as you're saying all that stuff, JR, like, I'm sure that the people involved with the show wanted it to be able to say something now in a way that maybe they didn't have the buy-in from the wider audience to say on a sitcom 20 plus years
the 90s were a very different time.
Yeah,
I think we should all give reboots a chance. Like, I'll be giving the Darkwing Duck reboot a chance, which is in the works.
Killing it.
Great
job.
Oh my
according to
gosh.
Variety, the reboot has no writer currently attached, but is reportedly being executive produced by Seth Rogen. Yeah. Evan Goldberg, James Weaver, and Alex McCaddy at Point Grey Pictures, the production company behind Amazon's The Boys. Yeah, all right. The Disaster Artist, Sausage Party, and This Is the End. Big Seth Rogen fan, so yeah.
Is it going to be an R-rated reboot then? Is this like the Ren and Stimpy thing they did, where it's grown up now and just like they say fuck?
I don't think not for Darkwing.
Am I not supposed to say that on here anymore? I don't know what the rules are. I'm sorry. If you
Terry, didn't you guys get it? Didn't we get an exclusive clip of a Darkwing animation thing recently? Because I remember watching it. Was it from DuckTales?
I believe it was from the new DuckTales. So I'm imagining that this is a bit different from that and what it could be. But yeah, you look
hard-boiled.
You look at what Seth Rogen has done with animation before Sausage Party, and you wonder like how can you do Darkwing the same way? So I imagine it will have some of that Seth Rogen spin on it.
What was Sausage Party about? Was it actually good?
It was like Toy Story, but food, right?
But but R-rated. Like there's a
there
lot.
It is.
Yeah. No, this is our clip. Yeah, I was like, this is a Sausage Party week. You can't.
Oh wow, that animation style is very specific.
But Destin, when your leads in a movie like Sausage Party are a sausage and a hot dog bun, you can imagine. Kind of,
I wonder where they went with that.
The tone that film had.
If this tonally is more akin to the Harley Quinn series than the new DuckTales, I'm 100% fine with it. Like,
that's a great point. But where? I guess where would they put it? Is my question.
I don't have photos Disney of this, but I want to share a personal story with you both really quick. Yeah. When I was younger, one of the first Halloween costumes I ever had was of Darkwing Duck.
Same.
Really?
Cue the B-roll.
When I was, I think 6, there is a couple of pictures of this somewhere, and if I find that, I will send them to you guys privately.
Okay. Bring it back next week. Both of you come. No one will remember.
Like 5 or 6. I was Darkwing Duck, and my dad was Launchpad McQuack.
Oh wow!
It was real sweet. It was very wholesome.
Meanwhile, I was a box of popcorn. It was very scratchy. One thing I will say, I missed the very obvious headline. So this reboot is in the works at Disney Plus, which means it will not be R-rated.
Yep,
Disney has made it very clear that everything on that platform is family friendly. It's actually like precluded them from putting some new stuff in their Fox archives, which they have newly acquired in the past year from being on the platform. So I would say maybe it will have some saucy flavor to it, but I would not be expecting an R-rated Darkwing Duck if it stays on Disney Plus.
You know what you can watch on Disney Plus? The entirety of Darkwing Duck. The series actually ended in 1992 with a number of comics published throughout the 1990s and 2010s, a Darkwing Duck NES game, which was actually good, and a cameo in the 2017 DuckTales reboot, which we were looking at. There's currently no word on who will voice Darkwing Duck or other series characters. Jim Cummings, Winnie the Pooh, Tigger, Star Wars, Hondo Onaka, originally voiced Darkwing Duck. And thank you for being patient with me on enunciating names.
You're nailing it.
Really, IGN eyeball underscore eyeball said, please spare us what they did to the DuckTales reboot. He didn't like the DuckTales
that is someone's username.
Apparently, he's also skeptical of IGN.
Yeah. Lord Kree said,
open-minded, really, IGN.
Mm-hmm. Lord Kree said, nice. Just please don't mess with the animation too much. Look at Animaniacs, for example. They're keeping the animation true to the original. And Chingon85 said, this news just made my day, though not as excellent as the original series. The new DuckTales is very enjoyable, so I hope Darkwing Duck is just as good. Take that, really? He likes it. Yeah, I'm really excited about Darkwing Duck, and I just love animation and things like that. So it'll be really cool to see what they end up doing with this series. And if you want to relive your childhood memories, like I did with the X-Men animated series and with the Darkwing Duck series, it's on Disney Plus.
And Gargoyles.
Gargoyles, I watched that too. Did you guys watch any like childhood stuff from Disney Plus when you got it?
I haven't really yet.
What did you watch, Terry?
Okay, the first thing I watched on Disney Plus, because we did a roundup when it launched, the first thing I watched was, well, first of all, I will say, like, when you open up Disney Plus, right, you're like, oh, it's a new playground, like a new toy store, like, what am I going to choose? And I was going through, and I was like, oh, they have this, okay, maybe that, oh, they have this, maybe that. And then I was like, Davy Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier,
oh boy,
watched immediately. And it's like 45 minutes, like, it's so short. I like watched it through New York, but my dad and I loved that movie. Yeah. We watched it all the time. So Davy Crockett was me reliving.
One of the first ones we watched here was Disney's The Black Cauldron.
Oh yeah.
Which is still great. Like it's super weird. And that was like one of those like bizarre
Disney bombs.
Disney fantasy. Yeah, like it bombed, but like it's like still weird and fun. And like I mean, obviously the first thing that I watched on Disney Plus was The Simpsons, even though it was in the wrong aspect ratio and whatever. But we go ahead.
No, finish what you're saying. That's the second time I've interrupted you like a rude.
No, it's okay.
No,
go ahead.
Thing. It's a good thing. It's a party. It's Friday night. We're about to play your next
Friday show.
So I am watching The Simpsons now, but in the context of like I was like you, or like with the Fresh Prince, I caught an episode here or there, but I like never watched The Simpsons.
Was it a show you weren't supposed to watch as a kid?
No, I watched WB. I just didn't watch Fox as much. I only had basic cable. Like we did not have cable. So everything I watched was like, I just chose WB. That was the channel for me. I watched all the Pokemon stuff or Just Shoot Me and Friends and syndication. Anyway,
I've got to stop you both really quick because there's a new episode of Mandalorian and I really, really want to go watch it. On Disney Plus,
before we go, it's not on our run-up show, but I'm going to jump in and say it. For those of you who are still here with us, if you have about 10 minutes of your time, I would highly recommend you check out a really cool video that Destin launched this week that he's been working really hard on. That was a super in-depth Spider-Man Miles Morales performance review. Incredibly insightful, a brand new format. Destin has been killing himself working on it. It's such a good video. If you can only watch one thing from IGN's YouTube channel, have that be the thing. He did such a great job with it, and I know he's working on a bunch more in the future. But Destin, I just wanted to give you a shout out for that because it was such a wonderful piece of content.
Yeah, whole team's been working really hard, but especially this guy right here.
And I need to know the right way to.
There you go. You did it.
I don't even know what to say. Just thank you both. It has been a lot of work, and thank you. But for our audience, that is the end of our show for today. We're gonna go watch some TV. We're gonna go play some games. We got exciting new consoles. I hope to see you guys online having a good time. And until then, we'll catch you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.